Hi everyone, my name's Ben and this is Winchester, my overland truck. I've spent 3.5 years building him. He's my dream truck, a bit unusual, and I'll take you through it. He's originally a 1983 Land Rover 101 forward control ambulance body. They were built for the British military, and he's now been converted into an overland truck, stroke RV, stroke rock crawler, stroke quite a few things. He's spec'd out a lot differently than they used to be. So to start off, 101 is 101 inches from wheel hub to wheel hub. That's what their original design was. They've got a ladder chassis frame, and it was originally leaf sprung 3.5 V8 manual transmission. He's now 130 inches wheelbase to, or wheel hub to wheel hub, because I extended the frame by 4 foot and put the axles basically where I wanted them to have the same prop shaft front and rear. So when it comes to the point where I want to carry a spare prop shaft, all I have to do is carry one rather than two, and also they're interchangeable if you don't have a spare but you want to change the drive in case you've broken one. What we did is I wanted to convert him to a Tdi Diesel, an automatic, because I'm going to be living and travelling in him for the next 5-10 years, and I didn't really fancy gear changing all that time or paying for gas prices. I'm a Land Rover mechanic. I've known Land Rovers my whole life. I know the TDI engine like the back of my hand, so I built up a 200 TDI with 300 manifolds and then did all the tricks: VG turbo, fuel pin, spacer, massive intercooler. That is the intercooler at the front, that's not the radiator, that's the intercooler, which is basically the same side as the radiator, which is behind it. And also what we do is the engine used to be in between the driver and passenger seats, but I wanted to flat floor the whole inside so I could do what I've done, which meant bringing the engine and gearbox down. So what I did was I put the axles where I wanted them in conjunction with the prop shaft and the transfer box, and then that told me where the gearbox was going to be, that told me where the engine was going to be, so we positioned all that. And then my friends at Scorpion Motorsport in Vegas, who I worked with at the time, Dino took the frame and has built this underneath cradle for the engine and gearbox to sit in and mount all into. And then that also allowed for the suspension mounts, which is 4-link front and rear, with remote reservoir coil over shocks. That's how it first started off, and that sort of laid way for where everything went. I've now added anti-roll bar off-road sway bars front and rear for handling purposes, but we'll get on to all the handling in another video sometime. Some of the YouTube shorts and videos I've got on social media show different parts of the build in the process, etc. But yes, the cradle and the suspension all allowed for the engine and gearbox to come down, which also reduces the centre of gravity, or lowers the centre of gravity, sorry. And everything's been done with weight in mind as well, so it's basically as minimal as it needs to be, but as keeping the strength that also needs to be as well. On top of that, I raised the body 2 inches, so normally this would have been against here. That's an inch box section, that's an inch gap, so I raised the height of the body as well. That was to allow for a gap in between the chassis and the floor pan that I'd built in there, to allow for pipes and hoses and wiring and things, because there's obviously a lot more gone into it now than before. It didn't have any of those things when it was just an ambulance. It was very simple, but heavy. A lot of this has reduced a lot of weight. I mean, converting to coil over and 4-link, I would say that both the shocks and probably a good portion of suspension weigh less than one of the leaf springs that came out of one of the axles, so a massive weight reduction there. A standard, it didn't have power steering, and then with obviously the geometry of the axles as well now, I mean, it has 12 inches travel on each corner, and the articulation is massive. We decided to go for the PSC hydraulic steering system. It's common on rock crawlers, and because it's the 2 hoses and the rest is attached to the beam axle, it allows for that flex that I'll want for off-roading. So again, Scorpion Motorsport built all that for me. And then basically this rack for the steering to mount on. Disc brake conversion, it used to be drums, so that's again all round. That's from 101 Parts in the UK. Shocks are FOA, PSC obviously for the steering, and the rock sway bars. Obviously you can see the engine and the mounts there, everything's bespoke, so to say. And yeah, it works absolutely perfectly. Original Salisbury axles, as we call them in the UK, then Dana 60s in the US. They're quite a specific spline and size, they're massive. So at the moment I haven't got locking or LSD diffs front and rear. It's something I do want for the future, but it's proving difficult because no one actually makes anything for the shaft size. But we'll see. There'll be a solution to that at some point. LED lights all over. Up top here, got the laser 4 light spotlights. They used to sponsor me and I had some left over, so that's what went in. But they're the best on the market as far as I'm concerned. And then this thing in the middle is the air conditioning condenser. It's a kit that came. I'll show it inside. It's 2 aluminium girders basically, which are bolted to steel struts I put inside the structure purposely for this, because I want it to be strong, because the front end of this is going to take a beating over time. It's, you know, it's 10.5 foot tall, and I'm going to be doing a lot of off-roading and tracks, and most vehicles aren't this tall, so I'm going to come across a lot of branches and things like that, so everything needs protection. This actual cover is a drawer out of a USPS American postal van that I came across. It's incredibly strong, thick aluminium, so I thought it was nice to incorporate that into the build. And the symbol there you can see is part of the design of the Union Jack, the offset of the lines, which would normally be in the Union Jack. I did it in circles obviously because of the strength aspect. Let's walk around. So inside here, say intercooler, and then Ali Sport radiator, so that's the heavy duty larger version, and it's doing a brilliant job. That's given me a lot of extra power, that size of that intercooler. There was only one size bigger that wouldn't fit, and the cooling on that is, the radiator's brilliant. On a cold day, I actually don't even need to turn the fan on, and it takes an age to heat up. That's how efficient the cooling is. We'll wander around the outside first to start off. These, if you see them, are a step. That's an original 101 thing. Normally they'd stick out a lot further. What I've done is I've reversed the rims on this, because I wanted a larger offset, the bigger wheels, and obviously the height of it and everything, I wanted as large a stance as possible. So what I did is I took the original rim, welded up the original valve hole, did some grinding where the studs go and on the back face, so it sits perfectly against, there's a slight spacer in there, and then drilled a new hole for a valve, and it's worked absolutely brilliantly. It's a lot more better stance, better look, and it allows me to keep it original. A lot of aspects I wanted to try and keep as original as possible. It's way bigger than a 101 ambulance normally is, and obviously the suspension and setup's completely different, but anyone who knows Land Rover 101s will look at this and go, it's a Land Rover 101, it's just a blown up version if you like. But yeah, there's steps and the rims. Those aluminum steps, which are Glow Step Revolution aircraft grade aluminium, the sign says. I've probably been up and down those many thousand times now during the build over the last 3.5 years, and I haven't even tightened a bolt on them, so can't say enough about those. And these little reflective or glow strips in the dark are actually still brilliant 3 years later, or whatever it's been. Windows and things we'll get to inside, but I'll keep low for the moment. This area, that blue box behind the steps, is where my 2 lithium batteries are. I've got 2 200 amp hour, so 400 in total, lithium batteries, which are brilliant and majorly light as well. They're brilliant weight wise. This locker I use for general stuff. Obviously it's on the right side of, if you have to park up on the side of a road or freeway, etc. You want to get access to stuff that's not the traffic side. So I've got snow chains there, spare parts, knuckle bar and sockets, just a monkey wrench, a large one in case I have to adjust any of the suspension shafts or steering. And jerry can is actually opens up as a case. It was a present, and I use that for all my tow straps and shackles and things like that. And there's a few other bits to go in there, grease gun and things, starter cables. Same rear on the wheels, rear wheels, reversed rims. I've got a full, obviously, AC power system inside. So what I did is I wanted outside plugs. These are going to go in office floor, sorry. It comes with 2 USBs and 2 plugs. There's another one on the other side as well. So eventually, if I set up out here, if I want to cook or a table for the computer, etc., I've just got an outlet straight there. This locker I use for fluids and oils and things. Better at the back. If I do get a leak or anything, it's just going to come out the back rather than covering any part of the wheels or the frames, etc. But yeah, that's where all my oils and greases and fluids go. It's a bit hard to get in and see the rear suspension, but you should be able to see the anti-rock again, and the coilovers with the reservoir. We'll go around to the other side first. So again, another plug there. It's my toilet hatch. So I've got a Thetford cassette toilet. I get about a week out of that if I use it sparingly. But yeah, it's easy. It's just the right size that you can go on a public toilet or a dump station or whatever. Just empty it out in a couple of minutes. External power plug for shore power, 50 amp plug. The whole system can take up to 70, but usually you get 30 or 50. That's the 50 plug, but you can just plug straight into a 30 cable. It all does the same thing. And I'll explain the setup inside, but I've future-proofed that for other countries as well. Water, direct shore power, water in my 50-gallon tank. 50-gallon diesel tank, which the diesel heater system runs off. Don't think I've got that. I'll have to do that in a minute, but there's my hydronic diesel heater in there. Baller S-type exhaust, bit of overkill, but I like them. And my heater exhaust there as well. And then we'll also just come around to this side. So air intake for the engine. I wanted to get it up nice and high. Obviously I'm in trouble if it ever gets that high. And the air conditioning runoff, which is this pipe here. So this has worked out really nicely. What it does is I'll just leave it tucked there. All the cold condensed water that comes off it out of the system actually runs down this and soaks into it. So this is exhaust wrap. The TDI engine, or all engines, like cold air, so with this wrap being soaked in cold water, even on a hot day, this is nice and cold, which is obviously the air channeling through there. That's the best I can do for the system, but it's working brilliantly so far. Down under here again, so you see the suspension there. Here I've got a macerator pump for my grey water tank, and what I can do is this actually goes back up to the top of my grey water system. So if I'm having a shower somewhere and I don't want to drop the water, or I can't run the water to a drain or an RV sewage hookup, etc., what I can do is actually pump it back to the top of my grey tank system, which is segregated from the shower for the sink because of the height of it, etc. And I can basically keep it all within the system until the point where I can get rid of it or want to get rid of it. And you can see some of the plumbing there. On around, let's just step back. So Arctic Tern in Arizona is a supplier of all my windows and my door. Absolutely brilliant they are. I've got 3 different size windows. That one, same on the other side, and then the 2 small ones here. That's my bed window, shower toilet window, kitchen window. The other one side is just the sort of general overlook. And yeah, they come with fly screen and shutter, which I'll show you. 740 watts of solar on the roof, 2 panels. I do have enough room for one more 24 volt panel if I want to extend the system, which I probably will at some point. And then I've also got these 12 volt LED floodlights all round on each side. The back, you can see the spare wheels there. I've needed a way of raising and lowering the spare wheel, and the wheels are heavy. Obviously they're 37-inch Maxxis creepy crawlers on steel rims. They're not the lightest things. When I was younger, maybe I could have lifted it up, but not anymore. So what I did is I fitted a UTV winch on the other side of the wheel, which comes out, but the cable actually, or the rope, synthetic rope in this case, runs through a shackle which is attached to the bracket that I've bolted onto the rim. So at the moment it's strapped up, but if I undid the straps and then let the winch out, it lowers the wheel, and vice versa. It would raise the wheel, and then I just strap it back up again. So that was a great solution for lowering and raising the spare wheel, and also giving me a winch at the back. I mean, it's not a very big winch, but it certainly dragged trees or logs or things over if I wanted to towards the rear. And there's a small amount of recovery there. I wouldn't put total recovery on it, but if I wanted to use it to anchor to something, it's absolutely perfect for that. Obligatory max tracks, because I'll be travelling alone, and I don't have a front winch yet, so I definitely need those just in case. Rubbish bag that Maxxis gave me at one of the Overland, the Pacific Northwest Overland show last year. Finally fitted that, and then 2 reverse cameras, one looking straight down for close parking, and then basically my rear view mirror there for looking back in traffic, etc, etc. All 3 tow points, tow electrics. That's a winch control. I have a main switch inside the cab, so the power's off normally, so people can't just press it. See, open it up. This is my garage, whatever you want to call it. 2 more power points up in each corner. I've designed it so the couch inside is sort of floating, so there's a whole bunch of space underneath and back as well. So places to put stuff that you're not gonna want to get too much on a day-to-day basis. I'm still sort of planning all this out, you know. It'll change and things will come and go as I find out what I'm using or what I'm not using. At the moment it's sort of just general stuff. I mean, there I've got my inflatable boat that I've not used yet, but I'm looking forward to. Electric trolling motor, which will run off a battery, which also runs off a solar, which goes on the canopy on there. So it's sort of a nice setup I'm looking forward to using on a glacier lake somewhere. A couple of chairs, tables, boxes with hammocks, power tools and things at the moment, and then I've got the interlocking rails there. Eventually there'll be shovel and axe and sort of different tools here, etc. But yeah, I've still got a bit of a shopping list to go. Obviously going to also try and hook up with different companies for collaborations and content creation, etc. So back to another Arctic Tern window. the Arctic Turn full-size door, which only come in white, so I wrapped it, coated in black, same as all the frame and the chassis and the axles, etc. And then the nice thing about it is the screen door separates, but this is a proper screen door. This is wire mesh, obviously fly screen, but you can lock this on an evening, leave the door open, and this is the secure part. I mean, this is obviously security, but this is more weather security. This you can lock and leave open on a night, and it's no different from having the door. So if you want to, if it's a hot day or evening, etc., and you just want to keep the airflow through, all you need to do is close that instead. Get to inside. I'll go anti-clockwise. We'll start with fridge freezer. 90 litre fridge freezer, proper stand up, full size. I want that. It's not very full at the moment, but if I've got the range of a 50-gallon tank and be able to go away for a good couple of weeks at least, you need the food storage. And I use that as my pantry as well, so I'll put stuff that not necessarily needs to be refrigerated, but it's all in there at once. Generally keep my iPad up here. The iPad runs I monitor the Victron inverter and battery system off it. So what are we running at the moment? Put the old glasses on. 26.58 volts. I'm on a 24 volt system, so it's nice and charged up at the moment. It's been very hot and sunny recently, so there's no problem there, and that works brilliant. And the whole of this design I wanted to run off basically solar and diesel. So solar for the electrics, which runs DC and AC, and I've got 24 volt system and 12 volt systems, and then diesel that runs the hydronic heater system, which is 12 volts. So again, running off a 24 volt system. Basically, it all knocks down that you pretty much always got power. So as long as I've got sun and diesel, everything works. I am going to be putting a 24 volt alternator on demand alternator on the engine. That's still one of those to-do jobs. Samsung 4K smart TV. Generally, obviously I'd like to be outside enjoying the sun in the evenings and the views, but sometimes it's a rainy day or you just want to watch TV or play PlayStation, so I find that very important. That bolts onto my tower. So I've got the max fan controls, the obligatory max fan. Fan speeds for the hydronic radiator heater system, high, low and off. The domestic water on or off, and then engine heat system. So there's an exchanger on the diesel heater system, so I can preheat the engine using the hydronic heater, or vice versa. The engine can keep the hydronic heater warm, so I've got instant hot water as soon as I park up, etc. So they both work in unison, and that's the main on and off for the hydronic system, which is a Hurricane Zephyr by ITR Heat. They're a fantastic company. It's my second system that I've got off them, and yeah, you just don't get better. They're for class A's basically, so it's not overkill for this. It's, you know, it is overkill for this, but it does the job very quickly, and I've just got constant hot water and constant heating whatever I want it off the thermostat. That's a good luck symbol from Hong Kong, from my brother from another mother, Matt, and then the obligatory family calendar with pictures of my nephew and niece, Rafi and Evie, on it, that I get once a year, so that's sort of the keep up with the family. Obviously 12 volt electrics and everything. Again, more plugs, all USB and USB 2 ports in them as well, because that's stuff mostly charges nowadays. And what I do with the TV while I'm travelling is you have the window down. It's worked out really nicely. I basically just tuck it up on there, bring the shutter down, and that keeps that in perfect place as I'm driving along, even off-road so far. I'm sure I'll find its limit at some point, but yeah, that's worked out nicely. And this can be brought round. I usually tuck it in the window with the window open, which is nice because it just takes up a little bit less room. And then with these, the Arctic Tone, you've got the full blackout shutter or the full blind. The blind is on the retraction, so it's wherever you lay this, but that stays wherever you need it to. Let's have a look at the electrics. Weeks of wiring in here. So, we've got the Victron Energy Multiplus 2 24 volt 3000 watt 70 amp inverter, and this will take 120 or 240 on the outside plug and then automatically knock it down to 120. So in the US that's basically the design for the 50 amp hookups you get, which is why I've got the 50 amp plug outlet. But when I go away from the US, so onto New Zealand, Australia, back to Europe, and the power goes back to 240, it's basically going to do the same thing. I've just got to change the plug or style of plug on the end of the lead, and what it'll do is it'll knock it down to 120 again. Since all of my utensils, cooking appliances, anything electric is 120 US spec, as long as I keep with that, everything works nicely. Or I can wire it to plugs, so I could make a 240 plug as well somewhere in the truck if I wanted to start running a heavy welder or things like that. 24 down to 12 volt converter, so that's the 12 volt fusing system for pretty much everything in the truck back here, and then that's a direct feed out of the load on the Renogy MPPT there. I probably will upgrade to a Victron energy unit at some point. I just happen to have that Renogy lying around. It's the 40 amp big boy model that does 24 volt, so I just use that for now. It works fine, but if I go to the Victron, it will then talk in conjunction with the dongle and the shunt, and just give a better working system, which I can then also monitor off the iPad. Main big fuse, main cut-off switch, that's the hydronic diesel heating brain, if you like, and then normal household breakers for all the fuses, all the plugs that I've got around. But yeah, that's all working absolutely brilliantly. And then this little stack here is sort of working as a chimney, because it can get quite hot in there obviously, so that's drafting up and coming out of there nicely. At some point I'm going to get something done on this, a map or some artwork, make some of my travels, see what we can do. That's screwed down if you're wondering, and yeah, I just use it for my everyday cables, etc. like that. This black pipe up here is the air conditioning system. I'll explain that when I get around to it. Again, the obligatory van life adjustable height movable table. Couch, says what it does, what it says on the tin. That's my pretty much everything drawer, my daily goes-tos, so that houses everything. See, the hatch is up. And then it comes to the back, so max fan. Bed design, I spent a long time designing and making this, and I don't know if I've seen anything exactly like this. It's sort of a reverse Murphy, if you like. So it's made out of this aluminum grade sort of section, if you like, and it's in two bits. You can see the larger bit and the smaller bit, but basically you just pull and lock in, and there's the bed. Simple as that. Still got a bit of finishing off to do at the back obviously, and then to reverse it, take out the deadbolt again, grab this, lift the back, and it all slides back in place. Looks simple, took a lot to design. So over here, again another plug, thermostat for the heating system, just like a normal house. And then under here is my laundry room, if you like. So I've got washer and dryer, works really well. Dryer gets your clothes mainly dry, you still need to hang them up, but takes so much work out of it. You know, what I do is I take the shower head and it reaches around here. I can fill up with hot water, and then the drain system actually comes out of one of the struts outside after I pull the hose out. And yeah, place to put dirty clothes. When I get to the top I know I need to do a wash. I usually spend a sort of a day off doing a full wash of things, and also makes a nice bit of storage. I keep my rucksack and a roll mat and my gym bag and a bunch of other stuff in there, and yeah, that worked out really nicely. I was very happy with that. Obviously a nice little table during the day when you sit on the couch. On to the toilet and shower. So pretty much designed around me. A large basin for the shower. I cut the Thetford cassette toilet into that base, glued it all down, and I got the model where it rotates because it was never going to sit forward. Electric flush, works brilliantly. This is the original medical cabinet out of the 101 when it was an ambulance. I wanted to keep something from when it was an ambulance. This I thought would be really handy. It was actually 3 sections high, but that wouldn't have worked, so I chopped the lower one off, kept a few of the buttons, and yeah, it's just a really good solid drawer system that doesn't matter getting wet. Again, blind in there, and then 3 towel rail. These are adjustable, so they do come outside, so when I'm having a shower I basically just put them all out, slide the door across. There's a door there, but again that'll change for something better, something designed by someone, and do some cool artwork on it or something. They're the ports for the heater, so they swivel, so I can have one facing rear and front if I want. Kitchen. It's the second time I've gone with a toolbox design. We had a toy hauler that had 9 drawers all locking under one key, which just makes life so much simpler. You can lock it security wise, and plus when you're going down the road nothing will open because it's all locked. Same principle on this, but I needed this sort of chest design because in the toy hauler we had somewhere else to keep the air fryer and a convection cooker, which is how I do my main cooking. So with this design it was better. Typically won't close. Cable. This design was better, so I can keep that out. So air fryer and convection cooker in that side. General cooking stuff, kitchen and coffee and kettle, etc. A few bits and bobs. And then the top drawer is the drawer of everything, as I always call it. Pretty much your day-to-day needs. That's for the macerator. So I can pump water out if I need to, or pump it back into the system if I need to. It will gravity feed, but it's got to go past the blades, so just flicking that on and off works absolutely perfectly. 4 plugs, all for cooking. Everything wiring is on its own separate system. Everything's fused, top grade wire. Again, I've sort of gone overkill on that. weather station or thermostat if you like. Exterior temperature, interior temperature, humidity. I've got a so I've got temperature on the thermostat on the back. I've got this one here, and I've also got the one on the aircon. So I sort of monitor across the truck what the temperature is doing, and then I can adjust the AC or max fan or windows accordingly. General food stuff, as you can see. I will have a kitchen light to go in here when I get around to it. Paper towel. Bathroom mirror, essentially. Nice deep sink. Kraus. And then hot cold water. Usual stuff. Tea towels. Fire blanket. I've also got a fire extinguisher under there. A couple of chopping boards. One is the main cover for the sink, so for some reason I wanted the full service, not that I'd ever need to. But yeah, I generally put that obviously in there for driving along as well, or if you just want to hide your dirty washing. Bin, electric one, usually bring it out when I'm parked up, etc., for easy access. Cruising Comfort USA 12 volt AC system. This one's actually 24 volt, so again runs off the lithium batteries. Brilliant system. Wanted a standalone because I didn't want to take too much or any additional power out of the engine. The 200 TDI is not the most powerful engine in the world, and the more things you put on it, it just knocks the power down. So back to the principle of just wanting to run purely off the sun and diesel. This runs off the lithium batteries, which is charged by the sun, so the AC is charged by the sun technically. Yeah, it's slightly noisy. I'm probably going to enclose it, try and knock the sound down a bit. But it goes through this PVC drain pipe system all along here. And what I've done is I've basically got the same blades that you'd use in the waste black or grey waste management system, so I can knock off the back, so I'm only getting into the front, or vice versa. I can close the front so it's only coming to the back, or I can put half and half if you like, and that then comes out all these different ports, and I could tape up a port if I wanted more in the air in the back, etc. So it's nice and adjustable. And then this system up, this area up here is obviously for light soft stuff. I don't want any more weight up here than I need, so blankets, winter clothes, some clothing stuff, you know, basically that, spare toilet roll and kitchen roll, etc. Baseball bat in case I impromptu want a game of baseball, of course. Wi-Fi, this is Starlink, so again obviously runs off the inverter. I do have a bracket on the roof, so I literally just take it out the passenger door, put it upstairs, click it in, turn it on, wait 10-15 minutes, all good. Or I do have a stand if I'm camped under trees and I need to take it further away. I can put it out where the sky's clear and it'll work better. Another mirror here opposite that one. That's generally what I use for cutting the back of me, cut my hair on the back of my head so I can see. And then this tray's screwed down. This is sort of the everyday tray, if you like, so if I don't know where to put something, or I want to put something that I need to deal with later, if it's in there I know I don't generally need to deal with it. Lockable box for documents and things, that's easy access, and yeah, that's sort of basically there. I do have other locking places for more sensitive security, but yeah, that's sort of general day documents, if you like. And clothes, pants, t-shirts, socks, shoes, umbrella, obligatory water gun, and then that'll be the converter for the 24 volt alternator. There's the Synwave controller, some breaker fuses and on and off switches, and then here is my external lighting. So that's the front LED, rear LED lights, and then driver side and passenger side, which is dimmable, so if you don't want full bright light, you can just basically keep it dim. AC controls, so it's showing 86 on that one at the moment, 88 on that one. and then into the front. So I've got another plug there. Again, front wise, I wanted to keep it as standard 101 looking as possible. So the dash is very minimalistic. It's not really a dash, it's just a bit of metal. And this is going to grow over time. I'm still not finished in here, but what I did with the display pinnacles is normally 2 or 3 gauges on the left. It's got the LED digital Lake Defender telltale panel. So what I did is I basically made a new skin for it because there was a ton of holes that I didn't need. I wanted to keep the speedo head in the same place and then put in the 4 different gauges. So the left one is boost for the turbo, next one is gearbox temperature, next one is engine water temperature, and then fuel gauge, new speedo head. And I got lucky. I actually had a wiring loom for a late ROW TDI Defender, so that's what's in there. So it's all brand new. Same with the uprated brakes. That was 101 parts, so that's a bigger servo down there. Steering columns original. I just cut the end off and then welded it directly onto the valve block for the hydraulic steering. And then this is a later Defender steering wheel, which happened to be the same spline as a 101 as well, which is a lot nicer and softer to use. Set up to it in automatic, so that's literally selection. Original high-low linkage is all in there. I don't have selectable diff lock because I have an LSD in there, so it does it automatically for me. Bigger speaker for the stereo system. Still finishing wiring and stuff up here, but reverse cameras. And let's say that's the, if I open that, AC comes to the front and I can close it up to the back or vice versa. I do have a cabin heater down here which runs off that heater exchange system. Still to be plumbed in. Obviously knickknacks and things like that. That pretty much about covers it. Overland 101. So on most, that's at Overland 101 is my social medias on pretty much, well, on everything. Instagram, Facebook and YouTube. Overland 101 is the website, which I'm just finishing off, and we'll start pushing on YouTube stuff. 3.5 years for me to build this. I'm just about to kick off the journey. I'll get more and more into doing YouTube stuff. Obviously I've spent a lot of time and money on this. I've got enough money to still see me good for a couple of years travel, but if we can get the YouTube channel going and that can put diesel in the tank and food on my plate and I can travel for many years to come, then that's all I want out of it, really. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed that. Hope you look forward to more stuff that I'll create. So please subscribe, hit like, notifications, etc. And I'll look forward to showing you more. Thanks.